My name is Ausse Kalega, a systems analyst working with Makerere University, the School of Public Health, the METS program. For this tutorial, we are going to go through data entry via the Capture app. And I'll straight away log into the training account. The landing page is the browser cache cleaner, and here we first clean out or delete our temporary memory from the browser so that we can get updates from the server. So to access the Capture app, you go to the apps icon, and under here you can see a couple of applications, but our interest for this tutorial is the Capture app right here. So I'll click on it and it will open up the interface. So the reason for this app is that it has been improved to replace the Tracker Capture app. And this one has a couple of features, as we shall see, to make it actually better. So right here is the interface, and the logic is the same, but the flow is different, and then also the graphical user interface is also different. So as you can see here, we start by selecting the program. If at all you have multiple programs, you can select the appropriate program. And then after that, you select the organization unit where you want to capture your data for, or look at the previously entered records. So once I click on org unit, it will show me all the org units under my account, or where my account is attached to. So right here, I'll just go with HI's facility. And once I click on that, it will automatically load all the previously entered records for that particular facility, as you can see. So if I want to look at previously entered records, I can click on any of these or search through any of these records. But for this tutorial, we are assuming that we are registering a new client, and what you do first before you register the client is to confirm that they are not in the system. So there are a couple of things you can do to confirm that. You can use the search button right here and click on search for a person in the HIV Prevention Tracker. It will give you options to put in the client's unique ID generator, which is generated by the tracker. Here you just type the actual complete code or identifier of the client, or you can use the unique identification code, which is manually generated, or the one from the KPIC generator. As you can see, we have hints on every item for searching. When you click on it, it will show you a description, and it says that this is a manually generated clinic ID at the facility, or one by the KPIC generator. So this has to be complete. If it's put in partially, it won't give you the result. It has to be complete, and it's case sensitive. Or if you don't have any of the IDs, you can use the search attributes like the surname or given name. Here you can put any of these, and you can search through the system to confirm. If you don't want to use this, you can just now go back to the client and then search through the list. So right here, this is the list of the previously entered records. So what you can do now is now use any of these items again to search through the lists. You can use enrollment status, registration date, the client's unique ID generator, the identification code, or you can use any of the attributes at the registration form to search through your records if you have any of this information here. So this gives you room to actually utilize the system and find your clients depending on which record you have. It could even be a record of their children. If you have it, you can search for clients that have maybe related names for their children. And for this case, I'd really recommend that you use these particular filters for you to search. Reason is, if you use the search button right here, and maybe you have part of the ID, it won't give you a result. But if you use any of these filters here, for example, if you have like a part of the ID but not the complete one, you can click on this and then just put any part of the ID that you're sure of. It could be the last 3 digits, the first 4, the middle digits, or whichever you have, and it will be able to give you a result because it says contains text. So if you were to use, as an example here, you could decide to pick part of the ID and then use that for searching your clients. As an example, if you're sure that maybe the last digits start with 0034 or something, you can just put anything that you maybe get from the client or whatever the client can remember for their ID. You can maybe just say that the ID starts with 0034 or something, and when you update it, you just bring out any client that has that particular number in the record without necessarily having to type the full ID in the system. So this is one of the advantages of using these particular filters here. You can just put anything that is contained within the values without you having to necessarily put the full value as it should be. So away from this, now I'm going to remove the filter. To clear the filter, you can click on this to remove this, and it will be highlighted with this light blue color to show you that this is what is filtered for your list. So to remove it, you just click on this small X right here. If I can zoom in right here, you just click on it to clear, and then it will bring up the full list without any filters. Once you confirm that your data has no previous entry or previous record of the new client that you want to register, then you can go ahead and register or create the new person. And to do that, we have a button here that says create new person. So what you do is just click on this and it will load the form for you for that particular facility. As you can see, the first field is the registration date, and here you just click on the field to change this date. Remember, this date comes from the service tracking form. It's not the current date, it's not any other date, but the date on the service tracking form. So it's what you pick and actually put in here. So to do that, you just click on the field. It will give you a date picker. Then you can go back in time if you're entering backlog. And if it's a current date, it will be highlighted green. Then you click on that. Assuming it was a date in the past, if you have backlog, you just select the years and the months up here by using these arrow buttons. So you can go back in time by clicking on this and maybe forward again using this arrow button. The same thing happens for the months. You can go back in time using this. So if it was in November, you can just go to November, and then 2024, you select the particular day the client was registered in the system. It will change it right there. Here you fill up the service model, and I remember that now because of the new tools that were changed, we have two service tracking forms. We have one for the facility and one for the community. So if you're registering from the facility, you just click on health facility, and it will give you the particular fields from the facility service tracking form. So under client information, we have the KP scheme, which is COP for our case. And then you select the enrolling CSO if it applies. If it doesn't, you can leave it blank or just say not applicable. And then the next field is the client unique ID generator. This one is auto-generated for you by the tracker. As you can see, it auto-populates. But what you put in manually is the unique identification code. This is also the field that captures the KPIC generator code. So here you can just put in your code if you generate it manually. But if you want to use what the system gives you, you can just leave this and continue with your form. So you can fill in these other fields if you have them, but they should be coming from the service tracking form, like I said earlier. So I'll fill up a few fields in here so that we can continue with the form. So our client is a national, assuming, then I can just say maybe the surname is, I'll just put surname for the case of the demo, but make sure that you actually use the information from the card. Then this will be given. Sex at birth, we have a drop down, and we can say this was a male. Then for date of birth, if you have the actual date, we recommend that you use the actual date. And then if you don't have the actual date of birth from the service tracking form, then you can just put in the years if they can estimate their years. So maybe here I can put in 32. Then this other field would auto-populate. So the difference here is that years captures the year of a client at the time of registration. And then age in years is the current age of the client. So this number will stay static in the system for as long as you have a record. It means that when you fetch data from the system and look at this particular field, it will just show you the client's age at the time of registration. But this one here, the age in years, will keep on changing depending on the current date, because for it compares the current date and the date of birth to give you the client's age. So this one will keep on increasing. As an example, we've recorded this right now, but next year this number will stay the same, and this one will increase to 33 because the current date then will be higher by a year. Okay, so you enter these other fields as well if you have them on the tool. So I'll just fill it, just for the sake of saving time for this tutorial, I'll just fill in the must fill fields, but you make sure that you enter your data completely for informed decision making. So I'll enter the village, I'll just call it village. I'll say parish. I'll call this sub-county. Districts is a drop down, so I pick from any of these. Okay, so I've selected my district. So when I come to occupation, this is what the person does in their daytime or their usual job. But then when it comes to population category, you have to refer to the classification tool to guide you categorize the client. As an example, this person could be maybe a barber somewhere in a salon, but they're clients of sex workers. So you put maybe barber or salon attendant. I can say salon attendant. And then you classify them as a client of a sex worker. They are two different things. So here you fill in the other fields as well. And then when it comes to type of service model, you can select the name of the facility entry point right here. And then you can say maybe this was through OPD. And then the community service point, if at all, maybe the facility went out to the community and that's where they got these clients. And if it applies, then you select the community service point as well for any of these. So as an example, if it was a drop-in center that you went to, you can click on drop-in center. If it was a hotspot, you click on hotspot and it will ask you for the hotspot name, then you fill it in. This just helps you to put in the outreaches that a facility might have conducted while registering these clients. So you feed in this information and you save the person at the bottom here. So if everything checks out, this client will be saved. As in, when I click on this, the client has been registered in the system. So now after registration, it will take you to the client dashboard. And this is what we are looking at right now. So this interface just shows you information about this very client that you've just registered in the system. To start with, we have quick actions here where you can create new events or scheduling events. Then we have the stages and events right here. We have the prep screening for substantial risk and eligibility. We have the encounter and we have the exit status. So on this right side of the screen, you can make notes about this client just to inform anyone else that might visit this client's dashboard about that client. It could be any note just to let them know about the client's condition. And then down here you have the person's profile where you have the unique ID, we have the scheme, the CSO if it applies, their name, their sex at birth, and the rest of the records that were entered at registration. Then we have the enrollment section here, which shows you if the client is active or not. Then it will show you the registration date, the date, whether this shows you the facility the client was registered at initially. Then the owned by is the current owner of this record. It will show you the last updated time as well, and then the actions that you can take for this particular client. So once you click on this, you can actually mark this enrollment as complete. If the client completes the enrollment, you can mark for follow-up, or you can also do transfers within the system. You can mark them as cancelled if maybe they cancel for any reason, and then you can delete if you have the rights to delete. That is for mostly the M&E officers for the IPs that can do the deleting. So away from this, I think the rest of it will be covered in the next session where we shall look at the deep analysis of this data right here and also see how we can actually enter follow-up visits for this client. So for this particular session, I'll stop here, and then we shall continue from here on the next one. I thank you, and bye-bye.